That was better.
Yeah, you know what? You've been playing around with this stuff since I seen you last week, haven't you? Hey, everybody, thank you for joining us for another edition of The Urban Therapist. I am your host, Eddie Jean Hall Jr., and joining me today, as always, is my good friend and the co host of The Urban Therapist, Mr. Lewis Rose. What's going on, Lou?
I gave him the sound effects that he wants, and now he's complaining.
Oh, no, see, no. So you saying I didn't ask for all these sound effects. I just asked if he had different ones.
Well, that's what you
I didn't
asked
come up with a
for.
joke.
If you ask if
Man.
you have different ones, I'm trying to show you the catalog.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right,
Well, no, I gotta say, it's pretty cool.
right.
I ain't
And
mad.
that was
I take
complimentary.
it.
That was
It was
complimentary. You got the
complimentary.
little the timpani roll, like that's drama.
Okay, and that's better than the clown horn that you did on me a couple of weeks ago. So,
Exactly,
you know, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. Wonder what's gonna be next, man.
That's half the fun. You never know what's gonna come out of the box. It's just gonna poof.
Yeah. Oh, okay, but wait a minute. Talking about coming out the box. Have you peeped out the invasion? The sequel was the Secret Invasion,
That's the Marvel show, you mean?
the Marvel with
Yeah,
Sam L.
of
Have you checked that
course.
out yet? Have you
Yes,
watched it? Have you watched it all the way through?
all the way through. Yes,
Man, so we got to talk about that show one day because that and Lewis will tell you I'm a big Sam L fan. I'm a big Samuel L. Jackson fan. They did an excellent job with Secret Invasion.
they did.
They did a great job. They did a great job. But listen, I won't say unfortunately that's not what we're talking about today because we got a great topic today. And we've got a very special guest, and I'm glad that she was able to take time out of her busy schedule to be with us today. And Lewis, this is one that's dear to your heart, and it's dear to mine. We're talking about the state of education in the United States of America right now. And I want to let you know, man, I want to let you know, seriously. I did my homework on this like y'all were gonna give me a grade, okay? Because and so when we introduced Dr. Arduser, I'm gonna let her know, I am looking for, a star, something, but smiley face sticker, But no, really, as I got into it, um, I really realized this is an extremely important topic for us to talk about. And it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference whether or not you've got school age children. If you live anywhere here, if you live anywhere, period, you need to be concerned about the state of education right now because it is challenging. I'm
Hmm.
going to say it's bad. I'm going to say it's challenging. I don't want to say bad because of the people who are sticking with it, like Lou and Dr. Ardusa, who are trying to do their thing. But for those of us who are not educators, we definitely need to be educated on what you all are going through and, you know, talk about what we can do to help.
Well,
So,
you said her name a few times, so we should probably like let her on so we can
you think
really know
so?
who everybody's talking about.
Okay. I mean, I'm just excited to have her. I know usually I don't do it till after the intro clip, but
Right,
bring her
right.
on out.
Let's
Bring
bring
her
her
on
out.
out.
Let's do that.
Okay, where's hers?
Woohoo!
Hey
Where's
there.
mine? There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Doc, how you doing?
I am well. How are you? And I do look forward to seeing your homework assignment.
Okay. Well, it's coming up right now. We're about to walk through it. But Dr. Ardusa, before we walk through my assignment, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Absolutely. So I am originally from Arlington, Virginia. I came to Gainesville to attend the University of Florida and a principal at Eastside High School. That's right. That's right. Go Gators. Go
Oh
Gators.
my. I'm a
So
Buckeye. So
I
anyway, go ahead.
Oh my word. But I'm really concerned about your homework assignment now that you're going to turn in.
Ooh. Ooh, go ahead.
So that's right. I have always been a teacher. I just didn't know it. I would teach my cousins who would come in from all over the world, who'd come into the United States. I'd teach them English, and I was really good at it. And so it's not, it wasn't shocking that I became an educator. And straight out of University of Florida, I started teaching at Eastside High School, and that
Oh,
was the
nice.
end of this. That's it. That was a wrap. I was sucked in to education. So I'm currently the principal, proud principal of the MK Rawlings Elementary
All
School in
right.
Gainesville, Florida. Yes, and I just am so happy to be on with you to discuss the state of our education and educational reform.
Well, Doc, again, we want to thank you for joining us, and we've got a lot of stuff that we want to try to cover today, and I want you to take your
Yes.
time as we talk about this. So, Lewis, with that being said, we're going to talk about the new reality of going back to school, and we want to start with a video clip talking about some of the challenges that our educators are faced with.
Okay.
Anna quit in March with no job lined up.
Walking to class, just walking to class, don't mind the shoes, man. Just to go into an empty class with no teacher, like this gotta stop, bro.
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
There was no sub nor teacher in our class for the whole period.
Millions of kids are showing up to classrooms with no permanent teacher.
We don't have subs, and we're just getting, whoever we can get that will come in and basically babysit. So we had kids like academically not doing well. We might have a technology person covering a PE class or social studies covering a math class. They're calling our bullshit. They know that we're just cycling people through.
We wanted our students to see.
Fully fund public education.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
Teachers called out the deepening crisis for years.
Well, I cry bullshit. You don't respect us. If you respected us, you'd listen to us. You don't appreciate us. If you did, you wouldn't make our jobs literally impossible to do.
Now, that was a clip from a New York Times opinion video talking about the state of education right now in the United States. So, Doc, let me just hit you with a couple of points real quick, and I want you to just go ahead and help us with this.
Okay.
The video had started out with young people talking about the classrooms being empty. Here's some of the things I found. 86% of school districts reported difficulty hiring new teachers.
Yes.
Then another stat was, you got that for me, Lou?
You
There we
moving a
go.
little fast. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I told you, man, I'm trying to get that stop.
I know. I know.
Okay, so Doc, 86% of school districts reported difficulty hiring new teachers. And then it says 55% of educators now indicate that they are ready to leave the profession earlier than planned. What's going on?
Well, there are several things going on. We're all fighting each other. The same parents who are marching are the same parents who are giving our teachers the what for one reason or another. Teachers are at they're the front line of defense, but we're not protecting them, and so that's where we're seeing the disconnect. As a leader, I find myself having to to protect the integrity of being an educator, which was not ever done before. I don't even know my teachers' first names from back when I was a child, but now with social media and everything like that, you know so much more. I can tell you that Miss So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, that was their name. And you knew that when you went to school, the expectation across the board, rich, poor, indifferent, was that you are to respect the teacher. The teacher is the master of the craft. And so that is the integrity of teaching, and being a teacher has gone by the wayside. We have stopped protecting those who are the hope for our children. So there's that. Secondly, one of the people said in the video that people are calling our BS. Oh no, as a leader, I don't care how short we are. You're not going to be put in front of our children unless you understand the assignment. And so in desperation, some people have forgotten that the students are our most precious investment in future. And so we have to continue to keep that at the forefront and not just let any individual go in there. I have suffered through finding the best for our students, but that hasn't stopped me from doing so. So we have a lot going on, but protection of the teacher is where we've fallen short.
Now, you said a couple of things that I've got a couple of points I'm going to bring out later on in the show when you talked about respecting the teacher and protecting the teacher. What do you think has led to this? What word am I looking more for? The demise of how we view teacher, because I remember growing up, and I know I got a few years on you and Lewis, but I remember growing up that you're right. I mean, listen, I remember Mrs. Georgette Woods, my fifth and sixth grade teacher. But I remember Miss Woods because of her passion, of her involvement. I remember her calling my mom and dad and talking to them about what was going to be my next step when I get ready to go to junior high. I mean, I remember her singing to me, I don't know, I know by now, My Melancholy Baby, because, I was that melancholy kid in class, but just what she taught us and how she worked with us. I mean, that was, when I tell you, that was a long time ago. And I still remember Mrs. Woods. What do you think has led to this?
The lack of civility. We have social media showing what's cool, and usually what's cool is not what's appropriate. So the lack of civility. Also, people have forgotten that teachers are no longer just teachers. They were social curriculum educators before, but it was embedded. Now we have to be police officers of the classroom, making sure that we send your child alive. We also have to be mental health therapists. We also have to be the mom, the dad, the big sister when you're on the football field. That is no longer just something that a teacher gives because they want to. It's now become required if you want to reach and teach every child. So teachers are exhausted, but they still not getting the credit for going above and beyond. And so we start seeing the fallback, because now parents are feeling like if your child comes home and, man, Dr. Arduser was really tough on me, well, she can't do that. No, that the civility of it is respect what I'm doing because I'm the expert. It's fallen by the wayside, and it's what we've seen in our society as a norm. There's no civility in society. So now it's not being brought into the school anymore. We're having to reteach and reconnect and demand it, but then it's at a cost because they're not seeing it outside in our world anymore.
Yeah, I was going to
Okay.
say that,
Go ahead, Lou.
and she echoed it, that we are a reflection. Classrooms are a reflection of society. And it's like the more society changes, that comes into the classroom and brings that same energy into what teachers have to deal with. So all the things that you see, you talk about politics, you see all these things in the news. Those exact things are still in some way a microcosm of what's happening in schools.
Absolutely.
So that leads into the next slide, Lou, where it says 35% of teachers say they are likely to quit within the next 2 years. So this is because of all this that's building up as far as in our society, as far as our society is concerned, and the way we're treating each other, then this trickle down effect into the schools and then bringing it to you all.
We also have programs have to shift with our children. Our educational programs, I have found, they're very much into theory and not enough into practice. And so teachers come with a false sense of what the classroom's going to look like.
Really?
Yes, they refer back to what they were like as students, and that's not what we have going on right now. Also, we have to be prepared to have an extremely strong support system. because we know that the kids are coming with a high level of duress. They're just so, with society and social media and COVID. Let's not talk about what happened at COVID, where our students were not given to us. They did not have their safe space to come to school. And so we're still making up for that, which is, we're starting to see the turnaround, but we still have the debris from COVID. But that support system, when the teacher steps in on that campus, we cannot assume that when they shut that door, they know what to do at every point. We've got to be in the classroom. We've got to be teaching lockstep with the teacher. Like, we have to be right there with them as administrators and supportive units, and make sure that the families understand that when we are here, this is an academic space for excellence, and nothing will stop that. So if you don't know how to come appropriately, you're not going to be able to come in, because the children need to see adults really locking together and being a team for them. And so I see that teachers are leaving because they feel alone, and they feel like this is not where it's at. And some just don't have what it takes. We don't like to say that, but some are looking for a paycheck, and they say, I'm going to go into teaching because I see the short, and I'm going to say, what I need to say to get the job. I see that they need me more than I need them. And then they come in and they're just like, oh, this is not, this is not Ferris Bueller. This is not where it's at. So.
Right.
Okay, Doc, let me jump in on that real quick. Okay, I'm sorry, Louis, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. I mean, certain people have made teaching look like any Joe can do it, right? And there have been initiatives out there that diminish the value of the training and certification that teachers must go through, the rigorous. And they make it feel like one comment I always say to colleagues: when I first started, teachers were chefs.
Yes.
Now they are treated like short order cooks. And
yes.
There's a huge difference in how that looks and plays out. But if we think of them as short order cooks, then we think, oh, I can just plug the next man in. I can plug the next, and that's what Dr. Stella is saying, is that nope. You plug people in and they get shell shocked. They're like, whoa, I didn't know I was going to deal with kids fighting on day one and people throwing chairs at me and all these things.
Cuss me out.
Exactly. Things that you think, oh, that only happens in XYZ schools. But no, it happens in most schools now. And so that's the whole idea, is that, again, the classroom has totally changed from what we remember years and years and years ago.
So, Doc and Lou, this point, when you said some people are not cut out to be teachers, there are some people. So part of this 35%, or a part of this almost 3 out of 10 who say that they are likely to quit within the next 2 years, some of them may be people who were probably never cut out to be teachers in the first place.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. If you're already planning ahead to quit. Planning ahead to quit.
Okay.
Not planning ahead to make a difference. Planning ahead to quit. Survey says this isn't for you.
I told you she was.
And I need to
ready.
This is what I want, because it gives. I appreciate this, because now I'm doing my homework. I listened to a lot of interviews, read several articles, and I got to say this, and then we're gonna keep moving, Lou. On one video, there was this one particular teacher that was complaining about how tough the job was.
It is a tough job.
Yeah, but then she started crying. But I watched it, and when it looked like I didn't see not one tear. I mean, it seemed so.
Don't do that.
I'm like, is she doing this because she's on this documentary right now? It's like, oh, and I couldn't. And I'm waiting for the tear to come. Oh, it was so tough.
She's like this.
I'm like, yeah, she didn't even do to that. She just. So I said that to say, but it made me think too. Then they had some other teachers, okay, and they were in tears, and they were crying. And I looked at them, and I had to ask myself, did you know what you were getting into in the first place? And once you got into it, were you willing to do what you needed to do to succeed?
Mm.
Because the teachers that I've met who are committed, that's the thing, they're committed. You go in and you face a challenge and you figure out how to work around it or how to work
Yeah.
with it.
Well.
And again, I'm not taking away from anything that has to do with the duress or the strain of it, but I'm just
Mhm.
going by what you said. There are some people who are willing to do what it takes to they're committed.
Right. But let me tell you something about that. I had
Okay.
a kindergarten teacher, right? And they said, Dr. Arduser, you got to go talk to the kindergarten teacher. She's ready to quit. I was like, okay, let's do it. And I, just like the battle, you got a battle. You get your armor. I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready to go in, but I'm getting ready to go in, not to stop her from doing it, but to listen. And so I get in, and she is surrounded by two other veteran teachers, and she's sobbing. And I sit down and I just look and I say, "Is this for you?" And she said, I thought like I thought so. I said, "Well, what's going on?" And so she's telling me all the things that she's struggling with and trying to maneuver and all this stuff. And she says, "I just can't do it." And I look at her, I said, "None of us could do that. That's crazy. How can we help you? Like, we got to change this." And it was just like, and then she just relieved, she just kind of like just shook there and just continued to cry even more. I'm like, you don't have to suffer. This is hard work. She goes, but I don't know if I have it. I said, you do. You do. It wasn't about the
Mm.
kids. She didn't think she could do it, but she was being asked to do a ridiculous thing. And so it was just like, when we know better, we do better. But what was beautiful about it is those veteran teachers believed in me enough to say, bring her in, let's talk about it, because she had that support.
Mm.
That's where it is, the
Now,
support.
okay,
I was going to lose
okay.
a very valuable asset of an educator because she didn't think that she had what it took, but the support system stopped her, and she's still there, and she's
Well,
awesome. But she
now
was
maybe that's
crying and she
something.
was about to walk out. But
Okay,
it's
but you
only
said
because
support.
she didn't think. Support. She didn't think she could do it because she didn't think that she was going to be good for the kids. That's a
Mm-hmm.
different
Okay,
reflection for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's different for me.
all
Like,
right.
I don't want to. I just don't have what these kids need, but she does. But
But
she
she also
absolutely
had
does.
something else she needed. She
Yes,
got the
she did.
support that she needed from you as her principal, which is something I came across. A lot of teachers who were despondent were saying they were not getting the support that
Hmm.
they felt as though they needed. So we probably need to do a show, Lou, on how to, internally support support teachers, because what you just said as the principal, you coming in, the other teachers trusting you and
Yes.
allowing you to do your thing. But I guess the thing too is you come across as the type of person that, and I say this with all due respect, you remember where
Oh Lord.
you remember where you came from.
Sure do.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure do.
Some people, as
This
they
is
move
tough.
up the ladder, don't remember what
Mhm.
it was like to be in the other position.
Mm.
Right.
So appreciate that. So that motivation, that support is something that our teachers need, not only from us as parents, grandparents, citizens, but also from their administrators.
Hmm.
So I
Well,
appreciate you
here's the
bringing that
thing.
up. Okay.
But here's the thing. I'll cut you out myself. Don't worry about it. You don't have to. You don't have to cut yourself out. I'll find you and I'll say this isn't for you. This was not the
Mhm.
case with this teacher. She was
Okay.
excellent, but literally the odds were up against her from what she was receiving. Because kindergarten, it's a crapshoot. We got nothing.
Mm.
So when they're coming in with all these different personalities, and especially when they come in and they're bringing their authentic self right off top, it's like, okay, I see it, but she had those two veteran teachers
Mm.
who knew that the only person that, like, it couldn't just be them. The person that they needed to come in to change the game was a principal. So I also love the fact that we have veteran teachers on campus who know what time it is and who know the assignment and who get that we need to make sure that we're transparent about the living proving thing that's going on in the classroom. Because of course, when I walk in, the kids are looking and I'm like, okay, and I'm not going to see the real deal because I'm not with them all day, every day. It's different when the principal walks into the classroom. But
Oh yeah, I
I
know. Like
was
we had a
very
principal on the
honored.
show. It's different.
Yeah. Oh, right. But even, but even me, but what I found was the next day when we made or the following week when we made the changes, to see her come back to life was so fulfilling for me, because I know what that is as a teacher when you have been set up for excellence and for greatness yourself. You're going to be
Okay.
the best thing for the kid.
Well, and what I love about listening to you, Doc, and this is what I learned from Lewis: true teachers never stop teaching,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what level they're on. So how you help that teacher and how your vets, that unity, that teamwork. I'm glad to hear that that is taking place in some schools. And that's the other reason why we wanted to do the show on education, because with everything that is happening, there are a lot of good things that are happening. So what you just shared right there, that moment where you, your two vets, and your young teacher were able to come together and sustain and support her. So for anybody out there that's listening, that's contemplating, whether or not they're going to stay, or even if they want to go into the field of education, know that there are people out there who will help you make it through
Yes.
the process. But which leads to another point that I found very interesting. This is point 4, Lou. Only 52%, now I'm just going by the stat that I found, only 52% of, how's it pronounced? BIPOC
Yeah.
Copy.
teachers said they were likely to stay in the classroom. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't do it in comparison, but the stat
Mm-hmm.
that I found, it said only 52% of those teachers interviewed, and trust me, I know, stats can be skewed. So that's why I gave the website at the bottom of each slide, so you can go by and they give you the references for where the stats were taken from. But only 52% of Black, Indigenous, people of color teachers said they were likely to stay in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Doc, how would that affect us if that statistic is actually true?
Well, that's fabulous, because I'm assuming they're going to be principals or assistant principals or dean of students. So I want to know where they're going. Where are they going?
Okay.
Because outside the classroom, there's a difference when my students of color see me walking the halls, and they know that they can do this too. They know that they can be in charge and they can be impactful leaders at this level. So I want to know where they're going. Are they leaving the classroom to make a bigger impact somewhere else as far as a different position? Also, I want to know
So
where
let me
these
ask you
people
real quick.
are.
Hold on. Can I
Mhm.
jump in? Let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, teachers
Mhm.
who are saying, "Oh, I'm frustrated," is there room or opportunity for them to be able to move in a position in the field of education where they can make differences, or make differences plural, in the areas that they see that they are having challenges with? Or should they just walk away?
No, absolutely. And the thing about when Lewis and I were a team last year, what we prided ourselves in is that we would grow our own, and we'd make them leaders within their position of where they are, And so sometimes we were discovering talents that people didn't even know they had. So there are teacher leaders among us all, like even in the classroom, be like, hey, those two veteran teachers, they're mentor teachers. One of them is actually in school to be an administrator. So I'm like, if you're in school to be an administrator, guess what? You're going to be taking leadership roles within your teaching assignment. So you can see the true nature of this and how you can make impact right now. Put your theory into practice right now so you're impactful when you do get that position. So there are several ways, but you have to discover people's talents and their true passion so you can get the most out of them.
But do you think some
Yeah.
teachers, when they go into the field of teaching, they become stagnant and, they're great teachers, they have the leadership skills, but they stay, let me make sure I say this right. They're not willing, here you go, I got it now. They're
Not
not
willing to grow.
willing to move, to
To
grow, or to
adapt.
go into the next level, the challenge of a leadership position.
Well, I'll tell you this, I was that teacher, and it took Jeff Charbonnet to say, hey, I need you to be at a different level. I need you to be activities director. And I was like, me?
Okay.
I'm doing my thing in reading. I'm going to be the best reading teacher in the world. And so he's like, okay, in order to do that, I need you to be in this position as well. So I was still teaching, but I was also in leadership. I did not think I was going to be principal. I came into this to
Really?
be the best teacher. No, a principal? No, what? Not me. I was going to be a teacher, and I was going to be the best teacher, and people were going to come from all over the world in my classroom to watch me teach. And so but it took a principal to say, you think that the impact is within these 125 to 150 kids that you have in a year. How about I can tell you that you could quadruple, if not do that 10 times more by doing this?
Wow.
And I was like, what? It was it's just that, like you
Wow.
said, being a teacher for life, he spoke life into me, just like we do in the students. You will be somebody. You will do this, and I'm going to put you in it anyway. Like the kid
So
who
one
doesn't
of
want to go
the,
to honors. You're an honors
mhm.
kid. I'm going to put you in there, provide the support, provide the follow through, inspect what I expect, and then until you're in it yourself, until you don't need that anymore, and then I'll challenge you at the next level.
Wow. So it sounds like part of this process of, go to the next slide for me real quick, Lou,
Sure.
because this slide scared me. Only 10% of educators would strongly recommend the profession to a young adult.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what 10% that was. Is like you were saying, you want to know who. But here's the thing, just listening to what you are saying and what Lou is agreeing to, because I'm watching you down there, man, going, yeah.
Oh yeah.
If we had more teachers looking at how to find the best in the next generation coming up and looking and showing them how they can make a difference, like you said, when that principal came to you and said, okay, you're having an impact on 150, but let me show you how you can have an impact on 450.
Yeah.
And so maybe if more could see the bigger picture, is it possible? And I'm asking both of you all as teachers, educators, leaders in your field. Sometimes can teachers have such tunnel vision? Does the tunnel vision help create that frustration because I'm only seeing doing this and I don't feel as though I'm getting anywhere doing this, or so many things are happening, or I'm faced with so much with this aspect of education. I don't see the other aspects of it where I might be able to blossom and grow. So since this is the only thing I see, because this is what I wanted to do, and I can't do this the way I want to do it, I don't want to do it anymore.
But look here, we don't need educators recommending nothing. Let me tell you something. We can't recommend teaching for everybody. That's the problem. Not everybody can
Okay.
do it. Okay.
Right.
It is a sophisticated craft. So that doesn't surprise me. Also, the father of my children, he was an educator. My daughter, after being in dance for several years, says, I'm going to be a dance teacher. And he was like, oh my God, no, there's no money in that. But guess what? Layla still says she's going to be a dance teacher because of Miss Brittany. So she's doing that through exposure and experience. So recommendations don't necessarily mean the follow through is going to happen. So it's
Okay.
okay if educators are not recommending it, because there are students who are going to get that desire and passion because they've had great teachers. And that's a
Okay.
recommendation without words.
So the passion, so so to use one of Lewis's favorite words, organic. So the organic growth of the teachers that we need is going to come from the teachers who are still doing it, who are giving their best, they are loving it, and they are basically they're doing the do. And with them doing the do, the kids around them saying, "Yeah, I want to do that as well."
That's right.
I want to also say that Dr. Stella is giving a very good picture of opportunity, and that's what important for teachers to recognize is that opportunity always exists, right?
Okay.
When I first started teaching many years ago, I thought I would remain a fourth grade teacher.
Many years ago.
Right. I thought I would remain a fourth grade teacher my entire career. Like it was the thing I loved. I literally remember saying to friends, I think I could do this forever, right? And when you look at the course of our journeys, that's not how it ends, because at some point it's either within you to challenge yourself and take on new opportunities and new experiences, or the system itself will challenge you, right?
Correct.
And so that's where, unfortunately, there are teachers though who reject that challenge, and that's where the stagnation comes into play. If they reject the idea that, hey, I have to shift, I have to continue moving, I have to continue adapting, growing, learning, perfecting my craft, yes, stagnation will occur. And I have seen teachers who have been in the same place, the same state, the same, and when I say state, I mean state of being, the same mindset for too long, that then they can't shift because they've lost their edge, they've lost the opportunity to shift because they have planted their roots and said, I remember when I first started teaching, there was this commercial that was like, it said, I'm going to teach the same year for 25 years. I'm going to do everything exactly the same and just, hit the reload, recycle button. And that's definitely not what teaching is. Teaching is taking, learning from each year, but adding new to it and growing and moving forward. And so that's the thing that when you're talking about whether that's in your career, which means that, again, other opportunities, you may not want to stay a fourth grade teacher. You may want to teach other grade levels. You may want to look at other opportunities that you have within your school district to become a coach or a mentor or a professional development specialist. There are all kinds of jobs that exist in the school district besides just teacher and then principal. But there are plenty of ways for you to make impact. But you have to kind of have the mindset that growth is paramount. Changing and adapting with the times is something that has to be built into your DNA in order to be able to seize those opportunities.
Or the system will do it for you.
Yeah.
Because if you're stagnant in fourth grade, guess what? There are 5 other grades that you could be placed in. So
Spoken
the
like a
system can
principal.
change you up too. Yeah, right.
All right, so
You need a new
Doc,
opportunity.
allow me to play the devil's advocate on this. Oh, this is great. And Doc, Luke, this is what we want to talk about today. Okay, so now, but Doc, earlier you mentioned the societal effects that are taking place, that are happening now, that teachers did not have to deal with in generations past. Lou, let's go to this next video. This one is called Teacher Shortages, Why Teachers Are Leaving in Droves. And we just want to play a short clip from here, Doc, and then we're going to pick up talking about teacher burnout and some other things.
As students head back to school for the start of another year, many districts nationwide are scrambling to find qualified teachers for every classroom. Some 51,000 teachers quit in May of this year, impacting kids and their families.
He got a letter from the school saying that he doesn't have a teacher, that he may have one before school starts.
Teachers qualified in subjects like science, math, and special ed are in especially short supply.
We're losing 300,000 teachers a year, and we're not getting enough people coming into the profession.
Concerns over school safety are a factor, along with post-pandemic burnout. Teacher pay has also stagnated, while the cost of a 4-year degree has skyrocketed.
Every teacher I know is working 2 to 3 jobs. We're doing DoorDash, we're doing Uber, we're doing waitressing.
In states like Florida, some teachers say political battles over education have become too much.
I quit my teaching job because of the banning of books, the low pay, the treatment of LGBTQ young people, staff, and adults, the whitewashing of Black history in America.
For dedicated professionals, it's often a difficult and emotional choice.
It killed me to leave my kids. Those are my kids.
So, talking about the challenges that you all are faced with, 80% of educators say that taking on more work due to unfilled job openings within their district is a serious problem. Doc, you just saw the stats where they were talking about how many teachers are needed or they were short, all the different things that people have to do. This one teacher that said, hey, I've been doing this for a while, but I just can't do anymore. Talk to us about this. What kind of have you been faced with that challenge of trying to find qualified teachers? And we're going to talk about that in a minute too, because I was shocked at some of the different programs that they're trying to put in place or even have been put in place to fulfill the need. But talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. Well, we have had to get very creative that I'd never envisioned. It wasn't in any of my research, and I did research COVID. It was a part of my research. It has become such a disparity, and the creativity is using what you have even when you don't have enough people. And let's not shy away from those people like our teachers' aides who've been watching that teacher for several years, perfecting that craft, just don't have that degree yet, growing their own, and you having to find ways to get the programs because they're expensive now. Taking a test, $200. And they're wondering why people aren't certified. Make it free.
Wow.
All of these things that we can navigate around. If we're having a teacher shortage, why is money still stopping us from getting these people who've watched education, who want to be there with the kids, but we're saying, you're not a qualified teacher. They could be, if we could help them with that.
So when you say the homegrown and you talk about the teacher's aide, so you're saying that where we're saying we don't have qualified teachers, but we have people who have been groomed
in the school system
to be able to fulfill those spots. But for some reason, we're blocking that. So what is it?
It's become, we have to become recruiters. I have a custodian who knows every single student on my campus, and every single student feels safe with him. Guess what? He's going on the 5th grade trip to Camp Crystal, TDE, temporary duty elsewhere, because those kids are going to listen to him. And I'm going to talk him into being a teacher. And he's a custodian right now. That's the whole thing about Lewis and I that we love doing. We search for greatness, and it doesn't look like your traditional thing. That's when you're truly searching for excellence. It's not going to always be so obvious. And so
passion looks for passion.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful. To me as a principal, I'm grateful that people don't stay in this box that there are no lines there. We're all teachers. I say we are all, that's the Rawlings way. We are all impacting our students, and they have to all see the adults as people who want to invest in their future, no matter what it is. And so I tell you what, we have to get creative. We've had to get creative more, and we're not learning this at school. We really have to love what we're doing, and we really have to look at our resources and maximize them, because help isn't coming. Help is not coming. We are the help. So we are the game changers.
Okay, so now when you say help is not coming, okay. Next point was 42% of teachers said that their teaching suffered because of the state of their mental health.
Absolutely.
Have you ran into
And
that?
absolutely, absolutely. But once again, the counselor that you have, the mental health services that you have for children, you have to extend to your professionals. And I'm not
Okay.
talking about that program that the district provides. I'm talking about on campus. And you have to have people hired enough to understand that they have to
On
maximize
campus
it for
for the teachers
everyone.
or on campus? On campus. I know you.
On campus for the teachers, like our
I
counselors
love it.
and our mental health, we address the students, but we're like, okay, also we have to find ways to touch base with the teachers, and we have that because the
Ah,
work
love
that
it.
we're doing at Rawlings, it's, I mean, it is a heavy lift, but we have 180 days to do it, and our theme is Mission Possible because it is, and anything that's hard is anything worth doing is going to be difficult. But the beauty of it is that we're changing lives. We're not just teaching children, we're changing their lives. We're changing the trajectory of their families. And so we have to have that, as Lewis mentioned before, that growth mindset. But it has to be a culture. It's got to be a culture shift. And mental health has to be at the forefront of that for everybody because this world is cruel. It's
Now,
cruel.
Doc, I love that you said that because while I was
Hmm.
reading this, the next slide brings out, it says 84%, almost 9 out of 10 educators support hiring more counselors and school psychologists. And while I was
Yes.
reading this, I was thinking, because I've had some good friends who were high school counselors. I work with adults. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if the teachers could have on staff
Hmm.
counselors for them when they need it as well? Because to be able to have someone real time that you can talk to in that moment while you're there or before you go home, so you don't have to drive all the way, home, get things, so that's a great idea. And now, and this 84% of educators support hiring more school counselors and psychologists. That would help you all because you won't have to wear this multitude of hats if you had somebody
Hmm.
that could deal with some of the issues that your children are dealing with, so you can concentrate on teaching.
But we still have to. We still have to wear those
Hmm.
multitude hats, and the district understands that. That's why there's training going on for school leaders, not just to be instructional leaders, but to be that first line of identifying situations where mental health is the root cause of why achievement isn't happening. So I also like that the district is making that available and accessible to us. So, because I'm a mental health first aid certified teacher. And that
Okay.
was through the district that I got that training. And at first it was to train teachers to do it, but I also utilized that practice and model that for teachers. And so it really is, what do we want to do here? And what, like, will this help children? Yes, then we need to do it. We need more information. We need to have it. Will this help teachers? And teachers, they have to know their impact. They got to know their impact, and they also have to know that they don't suffer in silence. And so many teachers are suffering silence. That's why we're losing it. That's why burnout is happening. We've got to make sure that we're tapping into their mental health and seeing, being like, how are you doing? And actually stopping to hear a legitimate, authentic answer instead of just the whole wave because we're too busy. We've had
You
to, we got to stop.
you said something great earlier, and I know you realize you said it, but I want to emphasize it. You said we are changing lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
I
yes,
know the
yes.
demographic of the students at your school. And when you have teachers that understand, you are giving kids the way out of poverty
Yes.
and of trauma, and you actually hold the key. And if teachers understand that, that's a very powerful idea, right? And it's more than just I'm teaching you to pass a test. I'm teaching you
Right.
to learn how to do this assignment, but you understand that you are giving a kid a future. And that
Mm-hmm.
changes the game completely. So yeah, I really appreciate you saying that earlier.
So now with
Yes.
what the both of you have just said with that, so for that 84% of educators who support hiring more counselors and school psychologists, and Doc, what you were saying about as a educator, the first aid training that you get for mental health,
Mm-hmm.
the school counselors and the school psychologists, and I'm asking you, you have to tell me because again, I don't work in the school system as far as counseling is concerned. What do you see, or what would you recommend to a person or persons who are either contemplating working as school counselors or school psychologists, or someone who may be in the field right now and working as a school counselor or school psychologist? What would you say to those individuals who are doing that as an educator as far as working together? Because something Lewis said, he said, you're changing lives.
Yes.
Which as a counselor, as a therapist, that's why I went into counseling. Because I love seeing that light bulb go on. I love seeing people think and to see them move.
Thank you for joining us for today's broadcast of the new reality of back to school. We hope that you'll join us next week for the second part of this poignant interview with the urban therapist, host, Eddie G. Hall, myself, and with Dr. Stella Arduser. We'll see you next time.